Crews are responding to a fire on a beef and dairy cattle farm. Approximately 20 tonnes of straw are burning in a Dutch barn adjacent to 2 pens containing 70 beef bulls. Farmers are hurriedly evacuating calf pens and now turning their attention to the release of the bulls. The farmer in charge cautions the incident commander that these animals are too dangerous to just let out, as they will put everyone in proximity at risk. Obviously, as a fire scenario, this is an incident which falls under our statutory obligations. Therefore, the animal factor may be resourced and supported following assessment through the 10 steps to situational awareness by operational commanders on the scene, or through the control room gathering information to determine the nature and presence of animals involved. In this instance, the species type are livestock. There are 70 in number, and the context that they're found in is in a commercial and a farmed environment. Being in proximity to a fire situation means that there is a direct animal life risk to the animals involved. There is also an indirect human injury / life risk to farm workers and personnel who may enter the proximity where the animals are, or if the animals are able to escape. There's a legal responsibility to prevent unnecessary suffering as those animals are immediately at risk. And this is a foreseeable risk that should fall within the capabilities of the Fire and Rescue Service attending a fire in an agricultural setting. Considerations for environment: well, these animals are loose but contained. They are within a structure, and adjacent to the structure is a fire. So the context of the situation clearly is the risk from fire. People on scene at this incident are the farmer, other farm hands and fire service personnel. Now, I think the main issue here would be the pressure to act with potentially uninformed consequences. It's really important that we understand the nature of this incident and what might happen if we take those actions. There may be a self-deployment of farmers, there may be pressure to act. There will certainly be an emotional impact of this situation where these animals are at direct risk. On to task. We immediately have to manage risk. The risk here is going to be from the fire, the environment, and the animals involved. We may need to facilitate evacuation if there is no alternative. We may need to facilitate containment, and that needs to be suitable and sufficient for the nature of the animals and the numbers involved. We may need to instigate pre-veterinary immediate emergency care if injuries have taken place, and we will certainly need to provide definitive veterinary care for those animals that may be suffering. Compared to a normal dairy herd, we do have additional animal risks here. They are 70 bulls. These are entire males. They will have characteristics that make them more dangerous in the operational environment. They are likely to be unsocialised. They are likely to be distressed. There is a potential that those animals may escape. They may compromise the containment facilities that they are in. There's also a risk from zoonosis through operating at that environment, and additional animal risks to the animal would be suffering or death. Given the information that we know, then if we were to do nothing about the animal scenario, there is a life risk to animals from radiant heat and or fire development. Injuries may be sustained through self-deployment of farm workers. Compromised containment or ill-prepared release are the likely outcomes. So the plan really needs to consider firefighting aggressively or protecting the livestock in situ, setting up a robust system for release into a secure place of safety, or planning for emergency euthanasia. You need to consider that there is an extreme risk from entire bulls, and uncontrolled release is not an option. In terms of PPE, standard firefighting PPE would be the default for this scenario, and we need to think about potentially acquiring additional safe cattle handling systems or improvising systems if we were to carry out a safe and controlled evacuation from the situation. At this instant, we may need to engage a variety of skill sets. The initial responders will have situational awareness and be able to make an assessment of the scene and carry out firefighting activities. May need to, depending on your service's policy, call for intermediate level who are responders trained in livestock animal handling, and this is a situation that would very definitely benefit from an animal incident tactical advisor, and also the support from other agencies such as vets and potentially slaughterers. We may put into place a defensive action such as protecting the animals in situ. We may opt for an offensive action, which may be a combination of firefighting and or release of the animals, and the justification would be the protection of property and animal life.